If you want a peaceful Middle East, the United States has always had a thumb on the scale. Only President Trump has properly used that thumb in order to achieve peace in the Middle East. Meanwhile, President Trump has also rejected the soft Biden-Obama approach to Iran. So yesterday in Saudi Arabia, he said that he wouldn't hesitate to wield American power.
I will never hesitate to wield American power if it's necessary to defend the United States or to help defend our allies. If you threaten America or our partners, however, then you'll be faced with overwhelming strength and devastating force. We have things that you don't even know about.
And so then he slammed Iran and he said, listen, the choice is for Iran to make. He slammed Iran. He said they're a terror spreading entity. Saudi, of course, agrees with this. So this is a popular perspective in Saudi Arabia.
Our task is to unify against the few agents of chaos and terror that are left and that are holding hostage the dreams of millions and millions of great people. The biggest and most destructive of these forces is the regime in Iran, which has caused unthinkable suffering in Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, Iraq, Yemen, and beyond. There could be no sharper contrast with the path you have pursued on the Arabian Peninsula than the disaster unfolding right across in the Gulf of Iran.
Okay, so again, his views on Iran are correct. He said the choice is for Iran to make. He said that if Iran doesn't get off the nuclear train, then there will be consequences.
But with that said, Iran can have a much brighter future, but will never allow America and its allies to be threatened with terrorism or nuclear attack. The choice is theirs to make. We really want them to be a successful country. We want them to be a wonderful, safe, great country. But they cannot have a nuclear weapon. This is an offer that will not last forever. The time is right now for them to choose. Right now, we don't have a lot of time to wait.
Okay, so again, that's fine. He talked about maximum pressure there. You'll notice that some of the language that has disappeared is the possibility of military action in that particular speech. So we'll see what President Trump means by that. He also spoke about the Houthis. Now, again, the American take on the Houthis, which is that the Houthis are no longer attacking American shipping in the Red Sea, and therefore the United States no longer has an interest. First of all, the shipping in the Red Sea has not returned. Okay, the people are not sending their ships through the Red Sea because they don't trust that the Houthis aren't going to attack it. Number two, the Houthis, while President Trump was in Saudi Arabia, fired multiple missiles over Saudi territory in order to fire them at Israel. So again, the Houthis have not, in fact, been defanged in any really serious way. But President Trump, again, this is sort of the balancing point that President Trump is at. And it's sort of an inflection point for what Trump means by realism, because there are, more interventionist strands of realism, more hawkish strands, there are more dovish strands of realism. Unclear, how President Trump comes down on that question. Here he was with regard to the Houthis.
Following repeated attacks on American ships and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea, the United States military launched more than 1,100 strikes on the Houthis in Yemen. As a result, the Houthis agreed to stop. They said, we don't want this anymore. This was a swift, ferocious, decisive, and extremely successful use of military force. Not that we wanted to do it, but they were shooting down ships. They were shooting at you. They were shooting at Saudi Arabia. We don't want them shooting at Saudi Arabia, if that's okay.
Okay, so again, he said he doesn't want them shooting at Saudi Arabia. They literally fired missiles over Saudi Arabia. I think the hope here is that by arming Saudi Arabia will then be given the capacity to go back into Yemen and push the Houthis out. That would be part of the goal here in all of this. Bottom line is that this is a triumphant trip from President Trump. He ends up with a bunch of committed Saudi money into the United States, a warmer relationship with the Saudi government, which of course is quite good, better tech relations with the Saudis. What I would love to see from President Trump and the American administration more generally, just the entire American government, if we are going to be doing these sorts of things with Saudi Arabia or relieving sanctions on Syria or making deals in the Middle East, make the strings attach. Make the strings attach. That's what President Trump did in his first term. And the reason UAE, Bahrain, Morocco ended up in the Abraham Accords is not because of pure goodwill for the United States or for Israel. It's because the United States made strings attach to the joining of all of those things. And that doesn't mean the United States has to act on behalf of Israel, obviously. The United States should pursue its own interests. But one of those interests would be a greater integration in the region because that means more commerce. It means less conflict. It means less military funding. It means less weaponry in the region. It means less proliferation in the region. If you want a peaceful Middle East, the United States has always had a thumb on the scale. Only President Trump has properly used that thumb in order to achieve peace in the Middle East. He's the only president in my lifetime who truly did that. And I'd love to see him pursue that same sort of policy in Saudi. We'll get to more on this in a moment. First, you might already own a firearm, but starting with a less lethal option to avoid the financial and mental repercussions of pulling the trigger, that's essential. Enter Byrna. That's BYRNA. Now, I love the Second Amendment. I own a bunch of guns, but the thought of using lethal force in my home, not ideal for everybody. Luckily, Byrna's less lethal launchers are equipped with tear gas and kinetic ammo designed to incapacitate an attacker for up to 40 minutes without those unwanted repercussions. And Byrna is excited to introduce the all-new compact launcher. Sleek, slim, hits like a sledgehammer, the same size as a smartphone, allowing you to conceal carry everywhere comfortably and with confidence. This launcher fires at 400 feet per second with 41 joules of force per square inch. That's a lot of power to stop aggressors in their tracks without having to deal with the complexities of a homicide. One thing I love about Byrna, they're American. Over 80% of the components in the compact launcher are sourced in the United States. Their pistols are hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Again, Byrna means safety. It also means that, you can get it in states where they have all sorts of terrible gun regulations. Byrna is legal in all 50 states, requires no background checks, can be shipped directly to your door. Plus, Byrna is trusted by hundreds of police departments and government agencies around the world. Try before you buy. Thanks to Byrna for sponsoring this video. If you haven't yet, go check out this week's episode of Ben After Dark on Daily Wire Plus, brought to you by Byrna. Okay, meanwhile, in other news from the Middle East, yesterday it appeared that Israel killed Yahya Sinwar's brother. Sinwar, of course, was the leader of Hamas. After Israel assassinated Yahya Sinwar, they apparently took out Mohammed Sinwar, who is the new leader of Hamas. It was all running in the family. According to the Wall Street Journal, they launched a strike. It hit an underground site near a European hospital. It's called European Hospital in Khan Yunis, because this is where terrorists hide. This, again, is why it is so absurd for the French government to yell at the Israelis about, oh my God, you're attacking your civilians. They're not civilian sites when you use them as terror bases. If you use a hospital as a terror base, it is now a terror base, not a hospital. This is why Mohammed Sinwar hid there. Again, the unspoken acknowledgement, by the way, that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, are actually targeted and immoral lies in the fact that the Palestinians are constantly hiding beneath civilian sites. You know who doesn't care about hiding beneath civilian sites? Terrorists in Chechnya. You know why? Because they know that Vladimir Putin is just going to blow away their families, everybody around them. They don't care. If Vladimir Putin does not care. So if terrorists in Chechnya hide behind their kids, Putin just blows away the kids. The reason that terrorists in Gaza hide behind children is because they know that Israel is reluctant to kill children. They know that Israel is reluctant to hit so-called civilian sites. That is the specific reason they do it. Acknowledging the innate morality of the IDF is the key to understanding why Hamas is hiding in these places, obviously. So footage is available of the strike. It could take days for Israel to determine whether the strike was successful in killing Sinwar. But it's very likely that Sinwar is dead. They blew a crater in the middle of the street. They targeted the tunnel. This could lead, presumably, to a broader conversation, because if you've defenestrated the entire leadership of Hamas, then basically there's no chance that Hamas is going to lead the Gaza Strip. So hopefully this leads to a faster off-ramp, including the complete destruction of Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.